Hello and welcome everyone to our Test 29 Thinking Skills Revision session. So today we'll be going through the questions that you completed in Test 29. Let's get started with the very first one. So, the first question was a probability question. In these ones, they tend to give you a lot of irrelevant information and try and confuse you. You need to focus on what is important. Namely, try and find those values that will help you decipher what the actual chance is in numbers. So it's here. We have 20 blue marbles and we have 7 red marbles. We have David reach in, without peeking, pull out a marble. If it's red, then I'll share. If it's blue, I'll be forced to eat them all. What is the chance that we share the cookies? So what does share the cookies mean in terms of the marbles? This means we want a red marble. So remember, our probability is what we want over the total that are in the bag. So i.e. we have 7 red, so 7 on the top, and the total would actually be comprised of the 28 marbles that are blue plus the 7 marbles which are red, and that actually is 35. So it's 7 over 35, which gives you 1 over 5. Now you might know that 1 over 5 in percentage is actually 20%. If you didn't know that, you can change the bottom to 100 and then you'll have to times the top by 20 and you get 20%. So B. Alright, 6. Choose the letter that puts the sentences in correct numbered order. Remember, for these ones, we want to see, or we want to find where the kind of like terms are. So for each sentence to kind of make sense and be in a logical order, it needs to refer to the previous sentence in some way. So the answer for this one was C, and let's check how that makes sense. 2. The first thing we introduce is the dingo. We have given the name of the species. We have specifically stated that, and we want to do that in the first sentence. The dingo is a canine mammal. Okay, so that's a broad description. Now we're going to go into details. It is Australia's only wild dog. Why is that good? Mammal and dog are linked. We're getting more specific as the sentences progress. Now, then we go. However, it's a contradicting sentence. Many people believe that it is not truly native like the koala. Why is that linked? It's linked to the Australian part of the third sentence, okay? Native and koala and Australia. And that leaves number 4. It may have been brought to the shores by the original inhabitants as the last one. And that links the original inhabitants and bringing to Australia links to the whole point of number 1 and gives like an alternative solution. So that's how you kind of progress and realize what the answer is. Okay, you have to look at the key points of the question and try and find one that is either more specific that will come under it or more general that will come before the sentence that is of question. Okay, 7 is an interesting one. So we have a 300 milliliter water bottle, and then we are transferring it to equally among 5 cups, and then we're transferring each of those 5 cups equally into the 4 jugs of 100 ml volume. These volumes are actually there to trick you, and the reason being, no matter how big these cups originally are, the amount of water that we have is limited. So even if we split it evenly among 1 liter, 2 liter, 4 gigaliter containers, it's still going to be the same amount, okay? Because we have to split it, the 300 mils, into 5 equal portions. So when we do that, we divide it by 5 and we realize we get 600 mils per cup. Now, it says that each of these cups are then poured equally among 4 jugs. So we're going to split that into 4. And when we do that, what do we get? Sorry, it should be 60 mils. My apologies. We get 15, right? Remember, we have 5 of these cups. So we're going to times 5 for each one, and we get 75 mils as your answer, or D. You can also think about it like this, okay? You're still going to split each cup equally, so you might as well just pour everything back into the original container and then split it again into the 4 jugs. It's the same thing, okay? So that's why D is the answer. 14. So Winnie and Tom are playing a guessing game. We have numbers from 1 to 30. and you can only say yes or no questions. So out of A, B, C, and D, if Tom replies no, which would eliminate the most amount of numbers? So for this, you need to kind of figure out each of the options, which he would have said that would be no. Okay, that's a bit convoluted. What I mean, is the number prime? If he said no, then he's saying that the number isn't prime. So you list out how many numbers aren't prime, okay, and then it would eliminate the most numbers if you have more numbers that aren't prime. I have a list I've already made on the side to make it easier for us. Okay, there we go. So for each of them, I have listed out the options. For the first one, if the number is not prime, that means 2, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29 are eliminated. The prime numbers are eliminated. And I wrote that there were 9 numbers here. Okay? Same as 3. Remember, it's in the bounds of 1 to 30. Okay? And if you see, the options A, B, and D all eliminate 9 numbers each. Whereas if number is divided by 3, option B eliminates 10 numbers. So which one will eliminate the most amount of numbers? The answer is B. You can pause the screen to kind of look through and confirm your own solutions. 17. So we want to try to debunk this kind of convoluted sentence. Remember, for these ones, always assume natural relationships. What I mean by that is bloodline, okay? Because obviously in today's day and age, there is a lot of kind of reconstructing of families and so on, but I want you to assume that people are married and they have children together, and it's the only kind of relationship that they have, okay? So first one, a man tells his friend, she is the daughter of the only son of my father's wife. How is the girl in the photograph related to the man? Right, my father's wife, who's that? That's my mother. Okay, that's my mother. The only son of my mother. Well, I am a man, so the only son must be me. My mother's only son is me if I'm a man. So the daughter of me will just be my daughter. Okay, so it'll be A. And in relation to my father and my mother, she would be their granddaughter. Okay, but they asked us in relationship to the man, so me. Okay, so A, daughter, is the answer. Okay, 22. This one, you need to find the same the same number represented in the codes, because there are 3 in the codes and 4 letter groups, okay? So I see 1, 1, 1, 1. 2 of the ones are at the very end, and then the other one is in the 3rd space. So you need to find a letter, okay, that copies that code. And that is actually letter B. B and B, there's 2 of them at the end, and 1 of them on the 3rd space. So this is eliminated. Obviously, with the B's at the end, you can't tell which code is which, but for this one, you can definitely tell that it's 5914. And this is 1, and this is 1. Okay, I'll write 1 here. Okay, from there we can figure out, because we know that 4 is W, you can put 4 there, and then 4581. That one's taken, so the remaining would be 9821. Okay, so now we want to figure out what HDGN is. We take inspiration from these codes. H is 8, D is 2, and you can already realize that it's A, but we can keep going. G from here is 5, and M from here is 9. 8259. Okay, 26. Which statement will strengthen the above conclusion? What was the conclusion? That the pyramids were very ahead of their time and should classify as a wonder of the ancient world. And remember, they were the tallest structures in the world and took a myriad of engineering and logistical problems to be solved. So which one would strengthen it? The answer is D. Structures are often called wonders if they are unique and have a significant historical impact. Why is that relevant? It is the only option that directly mentions this term wonder, which was part of the main conclusion, okay? And structures called wonders are if they are unique. Unique means one and only, and that is obvious with this one. Tallest structures. Tallest, the superlative, is suggesting it's the most or the best, okay? And significant historical impact, it's related to this statement here. A myriad, a wide variety of engineering and logistical problems. So throughout history, okay? So that's why it's a significant historical impact. So D fully encapsulates this statement and strengthens it. Okay, we want to find the flaw in this argument. So let's highlight the argument. Therefore, our keyword here, it can be concluded that if we do not teach people how to react when a natural disaster happens, then a recovery effort will not be successful. Where did they get that conclusion from? They got it from this bit. When they know how to react when a disaster happens, recovery effort from the natural disaster can be handled well. So the mistake that they're making here is saying just because something happened once and it was true or it was good, means, okay, in their perspective, means that if we don't do that, then whatever outcome would happen would be bad or devastating or not successful. And that's not necessarily true, okay? Just because it worked that one time does not mean when you take it away, it will definitely fail, will definitely not work. So C is one that explains that flaw. The passage assumes that if people are not educated on natural disasters, recovery effort cannot result in a similar success as if people are educated. Okay, that's an assumption that they're making from their previous argument. If something is true, then another thing is true. Therefore, if something is false, then the other thing must be false. Okay, next one. We want to figure out how these are arranged. You have to realize here that these numbers that I'm putting the arrows to are all square numbers. Okay, so what happens is this bottom one, you shoot it diagonally and you square it and you get the top number. You square it and you get the top number. Same here, you square it and you get 225 and you square it and you get 144. Now the kind of deceiving thing here is that we actually don't need to know that. All we need to do here to get this top number, which we want, okay, is to add these ones together. The one that is shooting from the bottom right corner to the top left corner. And if you add them, you get 30. And here, if you add it, you get 240. So that's why the answer is B. And it's pretty confusing because, like I said, usually patterns follow a nice kind of flow and it gives you reasoning, but that's how this one specifically worked. And last question, we are rearranging this numbered order. The answer is D here as well. Okay, so remember we start with the more general kind of solution, okay, which is question number 2. Pandas mainly eat bamboo, but they will eat meat if they can get it. We're introducing the subject matter. See, words like they or like many something or these ones, they're not for the first sentence. You need to be very clear about what we're talking about. So 2 comes first, and then 1. They also eat grasses, vines, and roots. Why is this good? We're talking about eating, and the eating links directly because we said they will eat meat if they can get it. And then goes to 3, like many bears, they like honey, but honey is a rare treat. So even more specific from 1, okay? And then number 4, the panda straws are well designed for such a wide and varied diet. It's almost like a summary. The wide and varied is talking about all 3 statements here. So 4 is perfect for the last statement. Okay, so some takeaways. The very first one I'm going to focus on is those ordering questions, okay? So, correct numbered order questions. Okay. Start with a general statement that introduces the topic. Okay, for example, name of species or name of topic, etc. That's always your first statement. From there, find the link between the next sentence and the previous sentence. Okay, so for example, if they were talking about the diet of the animal in the first sentence, then the next sentence you're going to be finding a link with that diet in specific, finding that link, okay, and so on. Continue this, okay, until you find the last sentence. So remember, it's directly linking to that second sentence or the third sentence or the fourth, the one before it, okay? Another one of these, talking about familial relationships. So mother, father, daughter, okay? Assume that the question is asking for naturalized relationships. So what I mean by that, mother and father are married, okay, and also they only have children with each other, etc. And it keeps going down, okay? So obviously in real life that might not always be true, but in this case, if we have those variables in mind, okay, if those cases are also considered, then there's too many options and we can't make a definitive answer. So always assume that the question is kind of talking about the naturalized relationships, okay? That's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video and those questions. And for next time, try and remember these takeaways because they will definitely help you in your next test. So until then, I hope you guys have a lovely week.